Okay. Good morning, everyone. So, any issue, any problems? Concepts are clear here? Okay. Any doubts? If you have, then you can send me. Okay, no problem. Thank you to all. So, now we are going to just discuss your today we are trying to complete your external sector, and I think we can. Then I will start your agriculture, industry, and then your banking sector, capital market. We are trying to cover the maximum in the till the next week. Okay. See, one of you send me WhatsApp and you are asking me, ki just tell me how many hours you needed to complete these topics. Sorry to say, dear, hour we can't, in terms of hour we can't quantify because it's depending on individual to individual. How intensively and what is your strategy, what is the way you are studying and trying to get it, depending on that. But it's sure this topic, it takes time because you have to understand first, clear your concept, interact all the macroeconomic, all variables, because here, it's not the random and separated things. Nothing is separated one. Change in one of the macro things or any policy or macroeconomic variables is going to change all other macroeconomic variables. So your one act at any macroeconomic level, definitely it is going to affect, maybe in the positive way, maybe in the negative way. Which one is dominating? Positive is dominating to negative, or negative is dominating to positive. You have to consider each and every dimension aspects. So here what we are doing in the class, I'm not just telling you the topic, but I'm trying to explain you the overall impact and in the economy from all possible way. And I think I hope that you are getting in the same way. So in calculating in yourself, okay, it takes time, dear, and depending on how frequently you are going through my notes and recalling each and everything, you are able to retain the things, you are able to use these things. And the commanding on this topic, it will take some time because you have to read more or less each and every day, or at least alternative days, some of the macroeconomic topics which you are getting in the newspaper, the government documents. So after getting everything, when you start reading the government documents, then you are able to connect it, what is. And the analysis level, you can only attend after a certain level. So whether you, and I cannot quantify, maybe other faculty just quantifying you, okay, in 30 hours you can complete, in 20 hours you can complete, in 2 days or 2 weeks. But this type of limitations and quantifications, as from academic background, I can't give you, because totally depending upon you, how you are just dealing with this. Okay. But one thing I can say, consistently and systematically, if you are reading this topic, then yes, in the very given time period, and that time period you can decide your own, because what is your absorption's power, how to just deal with this depending on you. Okay, so I can't say कि yet in 15 days you can complete, or 20 days you can complete, but I'm making sure that next week class and maybe 1-2 more classes, I'm going to complete from my side all the topics. Okay, first in next week I'm going to complete, which is mains plus, it's more also important, as well as it is important for the PT paper. Okay, where the subjective and the in-depth they are asking on the topic that I'm trying to do in the very last one. Okay, so even some few days you are getting delay to complete that, so it's not going to just affect your PT paper. Okay, but yes, we are also trying to complete this in within the time. Okay, just continued. Yeah, so we have yesterday we have discussed with you and I was discussing with you, that's the concept of foreign capital. See, first things comes in mind, why we need foreign capital, why there is a requirement of foreign capital in our Indian economy. So if you go with the one point, think about this, like saving you are talking about, and investments you are talking, where investment you are talking about savings and investment. Okay, so you are knowing that, and that I discussed in the Harrod-Domar model when I was discussing about the strategy of investment, a strategy of plan. So if you think, then saving is nothing but it is a supply of fund in the country, and investment, you see, then investment is the demand for fund. How you can just interpret it? Let us consider I am bank, not only bank, I am a banking system. Suppose I am banking system, so I am getting fund from, and what is my source is the saving which is done by the households, maybe corporate sector. Okay, so in one hand I am receiving the saved amount, that is the savings we are getting, and this saved amount or saving what the public or peoples are made to us, it is the resources what I have or the banking system has. Okay, now investors, they are coming to borrow this money for investment purpose. So the investment what they are going to do in the economy, basically most of them they are borrowing from me. Let us consider the all amount they are borrowing from me for investment. So investors basically demanding fund in the economy or from me, and the saving is the supply of funds in the system. On the basis of that, that's the reason we have written S means savings, and savings is the supply of funds. Savings is known as supply of funds, and investment is known as demand for funds. Okay, in Indian economy, if you go and see the economic survey from last several years, then what you are getting that in India, investment rate of investment, also I discussed, investment means it is a rate of capital formation. So in India, the investment is more than saving. Yeah, economic survey you can check, investment is more than the saving. So you can just get it, how much demand for fund in the economy is more than the supply of fund in the economy. So how can you meet this gap? Because investment requirement, investment is more in the country from the saving of the domestic in the domestic economy. So from this point, and that is the empiric, that is the proven things, it is there in the economy survey. Okay, in India's investment is more than the saving. So simply you can say in one word, okay, that's since investment is more than the savings in the country, so domestic sources, that saving is also known as the domestic sources. Domestic source. Domestic source. So we can say that the domestic source is not enough to meet our investment requirement. Domestic source is not enough to meet our investment requirement. Then to meet our requirement, we are depending on foreign capital. Foreign capital. So from here you can start one simple points. Others you can add it, no issue. Other you can add it. Yes, foreign capital we need because we're getting huge fund, the advanced technology, okay, the better management. That's I'm talking about the FDI. Okay, so these all are you are getting. You can add on, but basic you can start from here. And simply you can say that domestic saving is not enough to meet our domestic requirement of investments. So we need foreign capital. So you start from the basic because it's the surveyed things is the data you have, that data you can use for interpreting and explaining your concept. Okay, just check there. Clear? Now, next we are coming about what I discussed yesterday, FDI, FPI. So yesterday, go back to that diagram, what I made you in study on the board. Yes, if you invest directly in productive activities, so that investment is known as direct investment. But if you invest in financial assets, if you invest in financial assets, then investment in financial assets like the equities, shares, bonds, these are known as the portfolio investment. Same concept you develop there. If suppose the investors are foreigners, foreign entities, and foreign entities, if suppose they are investing in productive activities, they set up their plant, they set up their factories or any farm activities directly in the economy. So since these investments are direct investments and investors are foreigners, so simply you can term it as foreign direct investments. But if suppose the foreign investors, they are investing in financial assets, so you are knowing, or secondary market of the capital market of the country. So their investment is known as portfolio investment, but since they are the foreigners, so it is known as a foreign portfolio investments. Clear? One more thing I added in yesterday class, keep suppose the foreign entities, if they are the institutions, and they are investing in our Indian economy, okay, so they are considered as institutional investors. Okay, since they are the foreign institutions, so you can term this foreign institutional investors, and amount you are receiving is known as the foreign institutional investment. Clear? And other definition, other concept that we used in Indian economy and that implemented in 2011, that is the QFI, qualified foreign investors. So in QFI, qualified foreign investors, you have seen that if investor is individual or group of individuals, and if they are investing in India in the capital market, that is in financial assets, so they are termed as qualified foreign investors. Clear? Okay, and this scheme introduced by the government with the consultation of RBI and SEBI in 2011. Okay, so 2011 is the starting point, or in the year from that even the individuals directly they can invest in the capital market of India. Earlier they were not allowed as an individual to invest in the country, If they wanted to invest, the only route was through FII. But in 2014, the government accepted the international definitions, and also they merged FII and QFI under the FPI regulation 2014. And after these regulations, they merged, and now it is only known as the FPI, foreign portfolio investment. So after 2014, if you read any government documents, so only you are getting the word FPI, foreign portfolio investments, because these two were merged. Okay, earlier documents before 2014, if you are reading it, then you are getting the separate separate things, FII plus QFI, but 2014 only FPI. Clear? So now we will discuss only the FDI and QFI. So what is the international definitions? That's you understand this, then I will dictate you these things. One concept you have to understand: post issue paid up capital. Post issue paid up capital. That is the post issue paid up capital. What is post issue paid up capital? It simple means, suppose any company you take, suppose it is a ABCL, any company is there, and suppose this company issued the equity or shares worth rupees 10,000 crore, 10,000 crores worth of equity they sold in the market. Okay, it means when this company sold in equity, they sold equity in capital market. In capital market, you can say it is your capital market. So in capital market, they sold the equity worth rupees 10,000 crore, worth rupees 10,000 crore, worth rupees 10,000 crore. Then it is known as the post issue paid up capital. It is known as post issue paid up capital. Why? Post issue means already it's sold in the market by this company. And how much they got the money from the market? 10,000 crore. So this 10,000 crore amount is known as post issue paid up capital or post issue equity capital. Post issue paid up equity capital. Yeah, you can write paid up equity capital. Sometimes you can get in the documents. And this 10,000 crores, this much amount they borrowed. Okay, this much amount they borrowed, it is going to also decide the ownership. You can claim, because the company is going to take the total worth of that, or they're deciding, and that much amount you're sharing. So what the company is doing, that one part of that they can keep with themselves because they want the ownership they're on, and the rest part they are selling it. But you have to go in this way. I'm taking 10,000 crores for a normal understanding. So this 10,000 crore also going to decide the ownership. If you're holding more, then you have more say in particular company, more say in a particular company, because you are more shareholder or equity holders of that particular company. So you can participate in decision making process because you're holding a comfortable amount of share. Clear here? It is there. Okay. Okay, post issue paid up equity paid up capital is this 10,000 paid up capital. Suppose it's issued 20,000 crores. So 20,000 crores is going to be the post issue paid up capital. Okay. One more information you should get it. This company can only issue equity in the capital market if SEBI is giving you permission. That we will discuss in the capital market. SEBI is going to give you permissions. And permission means SEBI is going to list your company. SEBI is going to list your company. So listing must be there. So when SEBI lists your company, okay, in their stock markets, so that is the reason these companies are known as a listed company. This company is known as the listed company. So listed company means कि now SEBI given you permissions कि yes, you can issue your share to the public and directly you can borrow from the public. It's we are using that you are borrowing, but it is not in that sense like the borrowing from the bank or any institutions. See, what is the difference? Suppose you are borrowing from any institutions. You are borrowing from any institutions. So if you are borrowing from any institutions, then that borrowing amount subject to interest. So if suppose I borrowed from the bank, the amount I borrowed at rate of interest, then that much rate of interest and principal amount I have to pay back to the bank, irrespective of the performance in the market. Whether I am incurring the profit or loss, but I have to pay this much amount to banks. So it is a debt liabilities, you have to pay this. But suppose I am borrowing from you and it is known as equity or shares, then the return is subject to the performance of the company. So if I am performing, then out of the profit I can pay you, okay, which is known as the dividends I can pay you. If I am incurring loss, then you have to bear the loss. So here the more burden on the public is not there, because the return what you are going to pay to the public to whom you sold your equity or shares is totally depending on your performance. If you are performing and earning the profits, then only you have to pay. Otherwise you incur the loss, then investors has to bear this, also bear this. So this is the pattern. So companies generally they prefer to borrow from the market by selling equity and shares. But for that, your company must be listed company, then only you are allowed to sell. And how much equity and shares you sold, worth of equity and shares sold in the market, it is known as post issue paid up capital or post issue paid up equity capital. See first, is it clear to all? Check dear. First of all, this concept is clear. Post issue paid up equity capital or post is only post issue paid up capital, or simply you can say paid up capital. Earlier you asked me, but I requested you wait because this topic I am going to cover and discuss. Okay. Clear dear? देखो, is it clear? Vidisha, primary market and secondary market means if you take the capital market, of India, the capital market is basically controlled and regulated by the SEBI. SEBI, clear? So SEBI is going to regulate this market, clear? So in capital market, first time in your capital market, if company is selling their share or equity first time, and public or investors they are buying that. So first time if any company sells their equity or shares in the market, which is known as IPO, initial public offering. So IPO, when you are selling in a market, so that market is known as a primary market, because first time company sold this new equity or shares, which is known as the IPO, and here investors are buying this. So in primary market, basically transaction is going on between the company and investors. So this market, at this stage of market, is known as the primary market of capital market. Fine. After selling this equity or shares in the market, if again these things, this equity or shares, again it is going to resell in the market. So who is reselling? So initially purchased by the investors. Now this time again it's a say the investors are going to sell in the market, and who is going to buy? Investors. So since it is known as the secondary market. So in secondary market, transactions are going on between or among the investors. Here sellers are investors and buyers are investors. And in this market, already issue, that is a post-issue equity and shares, that transaction is going on. And at this level of market, it is known as secondary market of capital market. So capital market has, you can divide in two market. One is the primary market and is the secondary market. This is the concept. Clear? And I think this part is over, dear. Okay, now please you understand this. So if you're getting this, then you come this point. Okay, so you are getting that the company can only sell their equity and shares if that company is listed. So initially when you are going to establish your plant or your factory, you cannot expect that in the first stage you are going to get listed in the SEBI. No, dear. You are opening your company, you are running for few years, you are proving that you are profit making units, your worth is good enough. Okay, no risk for investors. If you're fulfilling some criteria which is already given by the SEBI, then only your company is going to list it in the SEBI list on a stock market, that is stock market, and then only you can issue your equity and shares. Okay, so concept, what is now you come to the concept here, that is a international definition of FDI and FPI. So suppose any foreign company, if any foreign investor, you can say any foreign entity or investor coming in India and they are investing in financial assets, or suppose paid up capital. So just to take paid up capital of any company, say ABCL. ABCL's company paid up capital is this, and it is the Indian company. It is the Indian company. It is Indian company ABCL, and suppose paid up capital, this company is 10,000 crores. They sold the worth of 10,000 crore in the market. Clear? So any foreign entity, if they are investing in this company and the amount of investment is at least 10% of paid up capital, at least 10% of paid up capital. At least means 10% or more than 10% of paid up capital. So any foreign entity, if they are investing 10% of paid up capital, that particular firm, okay, or particular factory company, 10% or more than 10%, then you can see that yesterday class I discussed with you, dear, if any foreign entity, if they are investing in financial assets, then it is FPI. Or if they are investing in direct economic activities, they set up their own plant, it is known as the FDI, that I defined. But also I discussed that there is an international concept also. Now, what is the international concept? It says that one condition is fine, no issue. If you are investing any amount directly in economic activities, suppose you set a very small plant of any worth, you set up their own productive activity, it is the FDI, no issue in that, even in the new definition. But new definition added one more point. They are saying that if any foreign entity if they already invested 10% of paid up capital in the particular company's equity or shares, 10% or more than 10%, then actually it is the FPI, but international concept says that it should consider as the FDI, foreign direct investment. Why they are saying it should be the FDI? There is a logic behind it, dear. Because when you open your own plant or set up your own plant, suppose you set up your own plant, so from first day you are ready to bear the profit and loss both. Suppose you set up a new plant, you cannot expect from first day you are only going to make profit. There is a possibility you can get profit also and you can incur loss also. So you are ready in that. So when you set up your plan, you are mentally prepared, yes, both I may incur. Or maybe suppose you incur next 6 months or 1 year, I may run in the loss, then I can get the profit. But what's about equity and shares? When you are going to buy any company's equity or shares, from the very first day you are only expecting profit. If any point you are feeling that I am going to incur loss, you are not going to buy this equity and shares, because you don't want to take risk. But if you are investing directly, you set up your own plan, 100% rate you are ready to bear loss also. So you are going to take risk also. So just on the very basic concept, they defined it. If any investor, they invested 10% minimum or more than 10% of paid up capital of a particular company, it means that investor has long-term vision. Long-term vision relating to that particular company. That is the reason they invested 10%, more than 10%. And if you invested 10% in the particular company, it means you have 10% ownership and you have that much proportions, you have say in policy decision making process. So you are also participating in policy decision process. Okay, it is the reason that the international community, they accepted that, okay, fine, if any foreign entity, they are investing in any domestic industries 10% or more than 10%, then that should also consider the FDI. And when 10% you're talking about, when that company must be listed company, because you can only sell or issue the equity on shares if your company is listed, otherwise you can't. In Indian economy I'm talking about. Okay, but if you're directly or coming for investments, any amount you can invest, no issue. You can invest for the 10,000, 5,000, you can set up your small unit of production, it is FDI. Okay, so this amount is not criteria for FDI. But yes, from FPI to FDI, if you want to come from this to this route, you can come. You have to follow this criteria. They were clear to all, or it's confusing in the sense? Tell me, dear, is it clear or you are getting any issue? Tell me, dear. Which part I can repeat? Just tell me. Yeah. Which part, Dibyendu? Should I repeat it again? Only one time you give your efforts or give your best, I think you are able to get it. See, again, the first of all, I discussed with you paid up capital. That's the reason I just separating the different concept. I'm going for step by step. Okay. Your first, I discussed about the post-issue paid up capital or post-issue equity capital, or just you can say paid up capital. Then I'm coming here the international definitions. The international definition simply says the one line, if you are any amount you are investing, fine. That's just like the yesterday concept what I developed with you. Any amount you are investing in direct setup of any plant or any industry, that amount is FDI, no issue in that. But if you are investing in your, suppose you are investing in your, you can say FPI, foreign portfolio investment. Okay, so if you are talking about, say, in the direct investment, so it's fine, any amount you can invest, no issue, any amount you can invest. But if you're investing in the financial assets, then it comes a conditions. Okay, so normally yesterday we have seen that if you're investing in financial assets, then that is a foreign portfolio investment. But now we are just modifying this concept. Just go step by step. Now we are modifying this concept on the basis of international concept, and that international concept we accepted in 2014 under FPI regulation 2014. So what is the international concept says that you should get it. So it simply says that suppose any foreign entity, actually they are investing in financial assets of the country, in the country. Okay, maybe suppose equity of a particular firm, Indian firms. So actually it should be the FPI. But modification is what, if any foreign entity invested 10% or more than 10% of that particular company's paid up capital, 10% or more than 10% of that 10 paid up capital, then that is not considered as FPI, that should be considered as the FDI, foreign direct investments. This is the one things they added. And why the logic is because if any foreign entity, they're investing in 10% or more than 10% of paid up capital of that particular company, it means that investor has long-term vision and the investor is ready to take risk. And since they are owning the 10% of ownership and they are participating in decision-making process because you are the 10% owner. Take the example of this the few years back. Now that person is no more, the Cyrus Mistry I'm talking about. There was conflict with the Tata chairman, the Tata's group, that is Ratan Tata ji. So what's happened? The conflict was there. But can he take the actions? They taken the actions. Okay, they are just separating out from the Tata groups. No, they can't do that because he's the owner of the owner of the Tata groups, having the share around 17% or 18 point something. That much percentage he is the owning the share. So they are the part of decision making process. They are the owner of that particular percentage. So it means, and you're ready to take the risk of that particular company. You have the long-term vision, which is similar to FDI character, because you have set up your own plant. You are taking decisions. Here you are taking the decisions. You are ready to bear the risk and you have the long-term vision. Because if you set up your plant, you are not set up your plant for a few months. You set up the plant for the longer time period, long-term. So due to that, this condition is accepted. That is, if any foreign entity investing in a particular company, 10% or more than 10% of paid up capital, then that is considered as the FDI. Clear? And if the company issued the post equity on shares in the market, it means this company must be listed company. This must be listed company. So this is one criteria. Second says, if you are investing but less than 10%, If it is a less than 10%, it is a less than 10%, then only it is known as FPI. This is the simple definitions. If you are investing but your investment amount is less than 10% of paid up capital, then it is known as FPI, foreign portfolio investment. Less than 10%, it is known as FPI. Is it clear? So what you are getting? I think less than 10% is the FPI. So if you go like this, what I made you in the last class. So here is the financial assets. So concept is, say, equity and shares, you can just write. Equity and shares. It is the productive activities you're talking about, direct productive activities. And here is the foreign entity, any foreign entity you are talking about, say. Okay. So if directly they are investing any amount in productive activities, it is FDI in both the cases. What is the final definition we accepted? Yes, it is the FDI. But if you set up your new plant, the plant cannot the registered one, they cannot registered, not registration must be there, it cannot listed one. Because initially if you open new plant, this plant can't get listed initially with the SEBI. No, it takes time, dear, because you have to perform, you have to show your potentials, then you fulfill all the criteria which are imposed by the SEBI, then only SEBI is going to list you. And once you list it, then only you are able to issue the equity. Initially you can't. So if foreign entity coming and investing directly in the plant, so this company is known as the unlisted company. But yes, your setup, it is the FDI. But if you are investing here in equity and shares in the capital market or in a particular company, then from this route, if you want to come as a FDI, then when you want to, if you want, no, my investments will be considered as FDI, it will only consider through this route. If your investment is minimum, at least you can write at least 10% of paid up capital. Paid up capital. At least 10% of paid up capital. Then at least you have 10% of paid up capital. If you are fulfilling this criteria, then only actually it is FPI, but it is considered as the FDI. This is the criteria now. Is it clear now? Okay, thank you, dear. Biswajit, paid up capital already has defined you. Actually, you're clear but not understanding the meaning of paid up capital. No, paid up capital, let us consider, Biswajit, you open your plant, clear? You started your factory, you established your company. Suppose you run your company next 10 years. And in 10 years, you've proven your potential. The growth potentials, the assets and the everything, you perform better. For the last several years, you are the profit-making institutions. You are also fulfilling other criteria. But now you want to expand your business, and for that you need fund. And that fund you want to borrow from the public by selling your company's equity or shares. Clear? So you have to approach to the SEBI. SEBI first list your company. If it's listed, then they will also define that this is the worth of this company. And according to the worth, you can decide your amount of the equity and shares that you can sell in the market. So how much worth of equity or shares you are selling in the market and you're getting the fund. So that much worth of equity and shares is known as paid up capital. Very simple one. Clear? Now, please write all of you. FDI, right, first you write the heading FDI, foreign direct investment or foreign direct investment. Right, FDI is considered as a major source of FDI is considered as a major source of non-debt, non-debt. The first day I told you I will tell you debt, but you get it like this. Otherwise, debt you can say. Non-debt means because these investors invested here in my country, but I am not borrowed it. So whether profit or loss, everything they are going to bear it. So I am receiving the source, but it is non-debt for me. That's your writing. FDI is considered as a major source of non-debt financial resource for the economic development. Okay, full stop, right? FDI means investment through capital instruments, by a person resident outside India in an unlisted Indian company or 10% or more of the post issue paid up equity capital of a listed Indian company. See, when this investor is investing in the direct investment, one of the criteria. So definitely they can invest directly in the new industry, new set of their new plant. It's unlisted. But here they are investing in the listed and 10% more than this. Then it's going to be FDI. Clearly, right? The inflow of FDI, in India, inflows of FDI in India have increased consistently since liberalizations and are an important component of foreign capital, full stop, right? Since FDI brings long-term sustainable capital, in the country or economy, you can write long-term sustainable capital in the economy and contributes towards technology transfer, development of strategic sectors, innovations, creation of competitive environment, environment and creation of employment opportunities and creation of employment opportunities. Okay, full stop, right? Therefore, it is the intent, and objective of the government of India. Therefore, it is the intent and objective of the government of India to attract and promote FDI, in order to supplement domestic capital, technology and skills for accelerated economic growth and development. Okay, change the para, you write the government has put in place a policy framework on FDI, which is transparent, predictable, means you can predict, predictable and easily comprehensible, Okay, full stop, right? The department for promotion of industry and internal trade, in short form you can write DPIIT, Department for Promotions of Industry and Internal Trade, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, Ministry of Commerce and Industry, Government of India, makes the policies on FDI, which are notified by the Department of Economic Affairs, Ministry of Finance, Government of India, Clear here? Now just think first the concept that we have discussed with you. Any doubt? See, you should focus on concept and understanding. If your concept understanding is clear, you are not going to miss any questions. You can better write. Okay, dear. Now, thanks. At least your respondent clear, sir. Clear, sir. Clear is clear. Just read once and tell me. Clear, dear? So suppose FDI is coming in India. Suppose it's a borderline. Here is our Indian economy. This side is our Indian economy, and FDI is coming in India. So FDI can come in India, and there are two routes to enter FDI in India. One is known as automatic route, and one is known as government route. Just check. FDI is coming in India, but there are two ways. There are two ways through which FDI comes in India. One is known as automatic route and other one is known as government route. Okay. Now, what is automatic route and what is government route? Suppose FDI, suppose government, so many sectors government announced the FDI. In defense they announced, insurance they announced. Okay, in so many sectors the government announced. You can see the Ministry of Commerce and Industry website, then you can get the consolidated FDI policy, or you go to the Ministry of Finance, you can get the consolidated FDI policy. Then all the sectors are there. Which sectors, how much percentage is allowed, whether 100%, 76%, 26%, like this, all are there. Please visit their sites once after getting all the concept. So if suppose FDI is coming in India, government allowed the particular sector and government says it is through the automatic route. So the moment government allowed through automatic route, its simple meaning is that if FDI comes in that sector, so the investor, they don't need to take prior approval from the government. This is the concept of automatic route. Automatic route means the government has already given you permissions कि you come and invest in this sector. So when you are coming for investment in this sector, you basically don't need any prior approval to coming and investing in this particular sector, but in automatic route. But when you are coming, then just you have to inform कि yes, I'm investing. Clear? This is the concept of automatic route. You don't need the prior approval. You can come invest, but you have to inform just the concerned. Means basically government, they are not denying it. You are coming, then you are allowed. Government route. Yes, some sectors government keep it in the government routes. Some sectors, if government thinks it's very strategic in nature, it may create some concerns, some issues in the country, and we have to control these sectors. So basically, if government wants to control a particular sector, okay, then these sectors are kept under the government route. If government suppose wants, who is coming for investment in this sector, what is the intention of the investment in the country, in the particular sector, so everything they are just thinking. If thinks that these sectors need it, then government can put this sector under the government route. If the FDI in that particular sector is allowed through government route, it means the investors, foreign entities, has to take permission first from the government, and if government is going to allow them, then only they can invest in the sector, otherwise they can't. So FDI in a particular sector, if it is announced it is through government route, means any investor who is coming to invest in the particular sector, that investor has to get permissions, prior approval from the government, and if government is permitting you, then only you can invest in this country. If government is refusing you, can't. If government is permitting you with some condition, that condition will remain applicable till you are in the country. This is the concept of government route. Okay, check all of you, clear or not? Automatic route or government route? Automatic route and government route, clear? Please first write automatic route, write few lines. It means the entry route through which It means the entry route through which investment by a person resident outside. It means the entry route through which investment by a person resident outside India does not require the prior approval of the RBI or the central government or the central government. See why sometimes, because transaction in foreign currency, you have to, the RBI is controlling, so sometimes you need to get the permission also. Central government obviously giving you. Government routes, you write next. Government route, right? Government route means the entry route through which investments by a person resident outside India. See, again I'm telling you, person word does not mean individual only. Person, it means it may be company, it may be individuals, or it may be institutions. Remember, this is the government definition, so I'm not just telling. If you go and see the government documents, then they are writing the person. If they are writing the person, so person is mean here company. It may be company. It defined like this, okay. It may be institutions. It may be institutions, and it may be the individual. Remember, right? It means the entry route through which investment, and as per the requirement you can take it. It means the entry route through which investments by a person resident outside India requires prior government approval and foreign investment received under this route, will be in accordance with the conditions stipulated by the government in its approval. Means while giving you approval, what the condition government imposed, that will remain till you are working or doing your business in the country. Okay. So one question who is asked. Yes, dear. So foreign entity should invest at least 10% of paid up capital. That means they are holding at least 10% of ownership of that company. Yes, true. That is the deciding. That is the reason your ownership is there, your say is there, you are part of decision making process. Plus, you have the long-term vision. That is the reason you invested 10% or more than 10%. Okay, second, I'm getting, sir, I want to establish a company, can apply to list it on SEBI. Yeah, you can establish first company. First you get registrations as per Company Act. Set up your industry, run it for the few years so that you are profit making institutions. Go and just get the conditions what you need to get listed with the SEBI, you complete all the conditions, then only you are allowed to list it, and then only you can get it, and then you can borrow. Okay, Raja? But I think right now you just study and just you focus and target to your commission exam. Later you can do that. Once you prove, then you can go and establish your own plant or own factory. Only for those company already established, they can only list it on name. That is the reason I am telling you. Even you set up a new company today, but before getting listed in SEBI, you have to fulfill some conditions. So that condition you can fulfill in the few years. If all conditions you are fulfilled, then SEBI will give you permissions. They can list your company. Okay. Next, Spandan Roy, you are asking me, dear sir, black money can be made white through automatic route because it does not require approval from RBI or central government. Spandan, see, it's what you are asking. I cannot deny the 100% this thing what you are saying, because but problem is that we only concerned, and we are knowing that, yeah, I'm not giving you prior approval, but does not mean that I'm not getting the informations. You're allowed to invest, but the proper, you are the company who are just coming and investing, the persons. And you remember yesterday I just discussed with you, even you are as an individual, you are coming to invest in the country, my country. So your country must be a member of FATF, Financial Action Task Force. So if any doubt is there, then I can get it about your information from the FATF, because I am also the member of that, so I can get it. And if institutions, being the institution you are coming, so your institution means that is a foreign institution that is already the very transparent, they are working. Yes, you can invest in that, and then institution is coming, then it's okay, fine. But directly you are manipulating, it's get it very difficult. Okay, it's not so easy. But yes, people are doing that. People are doing that. Okay. Biswajit, sir, Japan's company investment in bullet train, it is FDI or government borrowings? See, I think you can just see that. As far as I am knowing about this, the Japanese government lended us at a very fraction rate of interest, point something. So if you are getting assistance in this way, it is not a FDI, it is the borrowings. That is the reason the first line you written that FDI is the non-debt source. So if it is a borrowing, so it can't be the FDI. It should be the non-debt source. So if they suppose they decided, no, I will come and I will invest it. Okay, I will develop everything, and the profit I am going to get it. And government is given, suppose this route you can invest and you can earn the profit. But railway operations is still under the government of India. Still the government is not privatized. And for FDI, the government has to first privatize the railway operations, then only they can allow the foreign company to participate and develop it. So it's not privatized till now. Okay. So which is not possible. So we borrowed it. Clear, Biswajit? Next you are asking, sir, China's company Alibaba.com invest in Indian company Zomato. So in which route it invest? Okay, see, it's just, if you can see that in this services like this, so they are companies, there are so many companies, and the percentage you can check it for there's a government website. Okay, so what is the percentage? If suppose it is the 100% they are owning, 100%, so it is not the maybe 100%, maybe 26%, maybe 75%, depending on the conditions and depending on the government's things, how much government's allowed. If suppose one Indian company is collaboration with the other, it is possible. It's possible with collaboration with the other foreign companies, they can start a business in India. But again, it is depending on how much percentage they are contributing and how much percentage you are contributing. Sometimes government fix the maximum limit, foreigners can't invest more than this amount. Okay, and domestic one invest in this much amount. So that is fixed by sector to sector. You can get this all the type of services in the FDI considered policy. Just you go and the Google it FDI considered policy. You can get all the list, and I just request you go through this. Which sector, how much percentage is through, whether it's an automatic route or government route, first information, and how much percentage of FDI is allowed. These two information you get it. But hardly they are asking the major few things they are asking it. Okay. Clear. Now, after that we are going for one things. The recently government of India changed the FDI policy. Yeah, changed FDI. So no doubts. Okay, till here is clear. Yes, dear. And in April 2020, April. Okay. Just. In April 2020, Government of India changed the FDI policy, which is really very important for us. Okay. Why I discuss first automatic route and government route, then I'm coming to this topic because I need to use the concept of this government route and the automatic route. See, one thing you remember in government FDI policy, the government is dealing differently with Pakistan and Bangladesh. Yes, and reasons you are knowing, the political reasons and other reasons, the conflict with Pakistan and also to some extent with the Bangladesh, but still with Bangladesh having the better relationship under the prime ministership of the current prime minister of Bangladesh. Good one. But border disputes, it's remain. Okay, it's remain. So what the government of India is doing that, it's a practice of the government of India, when government of India announcing the FDI policy, so for Bangladesh and Pakistan, there is no concept of automatic route. Simple in one line. Are you getting my point? If government of India announcing the any FDI policy, so some sectors government of India keep under the automatic route and some sectors under the government route. For all other nations other than Pakistan and Bangladesh, these are applicable to them. If it is a government route, so they have to take prior approval from the government of India. If it is an automatic route, then they don't need the prior approval from the government of India. You can come invest, just you inform. But in case of Pakistan and Bangladesh, there is no concept of automatic route. Means they can only come. Even for others, it is an automatic route for everyone. But only for Bangladeshi entities and Pakistani entities, they can only invest through government route. Government route. Okay, so they put it, if you, any entity, any citizens, any person incorporated in Bangladesh or Pakistan, they have to come in India for investment through government route. They can't come through automatic route. This is the one condition. For Bangladesh and Pakistan, this is the common condition. But for Pakistan, one more additional conditions is there. One more additional conditions the Pakistan is going to face. Pakistan citizens or Pakistan's investors, Pakistani investors, or any person incorporated in Pakistan, they are not allowed to invest in India in three sectors. They are not allowed. One is your defense sector, they are not allowed. Even through government route, they are not allowed. It's notified. Not allowed. Defense, space, and atomic energy. So these three sectors, the government of India made prohibited to Pakistan. Okay, and all other sectors Pakistanis investors are allowed, but all are through government route. So there is no automated route through the for Pakistan and Bangladesh. But Bangladesh, there is this type of restriction is not there. कि Bangladeshi investors, they cannot invest in the defense, or you can say space, or you can say atomic energy. They can invest, but only for Pakistan's one. Clear? Now, the story is not the ending point here. The story is that after pandemic, what's happened? You are knowing that India and the whole world, forget about India, whole world faced pandemic forced lockdown. Pandemic forced lockdown. India also faced pandemic forced lockdown. It's a government documented words. Government is not taking I announced or no. It's a pandemic forced lockdown. I request you, please you also follow the same way. So pandemic forced lockdown, it's happened in India, and so many companies in India, Indian companies, they incurred loss. And the share price of these companies fall very below a certain level. Okay. And so many companies was running in the loss. So that time, China started buying the share and equities, and they started the takeover of these companies, and which is termed as opportunistic takeover by the China, and that's opportunity they got it due to the pandemic led or pandemic forced lockdown. So that's that process was under the process. China started acquiring the Indian companies. But during the same moment, government can't see that, understand there is a China's this policy. They will penetrate your economy and they will just cut your economic base from the root. Same thing is doing with the Pakistan, you can just see that. They also started doing with the Sri Lanka. Nepal, they are doing this strategy. But at least with someone, the India is able to balance it. Bangladesh, the same condition was there. But at least the diplomatic and the diplomatic way, how the India is dealing it, at least India is balancing this. But they started doing the same thing within the country. So government has taken the actions. And government in April 2022, they modified the FDI policy. And what is the modifications? Okay, so the government announced that earlier it was a restriction for the Bangladesh and the Pakistan, but now government saying that all the nations, other nations I'm talking about, all the nations having land border boundary, or just the land border, common land border boundary is there, or they connected with the land border, all the nations, they are not allowed to invest in India through automatic route. This point they added. So in place of specifying the Bangladesh and Pakistan, they modified this and they just inserted one line, all nations, having the common land border, or they are with the land border countries, these all nations can invest only through the government route. See, that time it was very difficult to put China's name, because already pandemic was there, China name was come out at the international front, it's the Chinese virus, other things. And the WTO already objected this thing, China objected this thing, so a different kind of situation was prevailing. In that point, if you are just announcing and taking this action particularly for a particular country, then it may create some international issues. So very diplomatically, the government of India played this strategy. Then China can't say you changed only this policy for me. It's changed for everyone who is related to the land border, which includes your Nepal also, which includes Bhutan also. But finally, I am going to give the permissions now. So if Bhutan is coming or your Nepal is coming, I can allow. But if you will come, I will not allow. So I have to keep under my control, and that's the reason government changed this, modified the definition, and they announced in April 2020. Okay, clear here? देखो. Okay, can you send few questions? One is yours, sir. Nowadays in India, states government are competing each other to pull investment from foreign investors. Fine. In these ways, they are also reforming key sectors to attract foreign investments without central government involved directly. No, Anal Kumar, it's you please get it one thing. All international transactions or international investments or international relations are subject to only central government. State government can't intervene. Even state government as a government, if they are going abroad, they have to take permission from the central government. This much restrictions are there. Because international relations, it is under the central government. As far as I'm just knowing about this, you just get it more in the polity part. Okay, but economic part is what? You understand one thing. I am saying government of India, I am going to allow the foreign investment in a particular sector. You understand this? I remember when I was discussing the planning in India, that day I discussed if as far as physical existence is concerned, you can't identify the central government. Yes, you are knowing it's the central government has this power, central government is this area, this it is the central government employees, it is a government, is West Bengal government. But you tell me most of the central government employees is the working under the state government. They're running the state governments, maybe central government employees, but after all they are just working for the state governments. They are the state cadres. So if you think about the physical existence of the central government, you can't get it. I think you can just link from there. That day I discussed, if central government is going to formulate any plan, so where the central government is going to implement this? Parliament, you can say, but Parliament, they can't implement these schemes and the projects and the plans what they are making it. Finally, it is going to implement in the states itself. Going to be implemented in the states, different states of the country. So central government plan is not for state specific. Central government plan is for sector specific. A particular sector is specific, they can allow. Now it's depending on states how you are creating environment in your states, how you are creating the rules and regulation in your state so that you can attract more and more foreign capital. So now that is the reason the competitive cooperative federalism, the concept is there. Okay, the states should compete in each other, and then you come to the and with the cooperative federalism. Okay, there is a cooperative federalism, it's a competitive one. Why? Because all states compete with each other and they prove I am best. So states started improving their rules and regulations. They started modifying the existing rules and regulations. Why? Because they want to attract the investors. Okay, and government has to do that. Government has to provide each and everything. Safety, the government has to provide. The interventions of the more bureaucratic interventions, the government has to minimize. And sorry to say, because I am taking the class in the provision, but it is the fact, we have to accept this. Why? The government policy, you are talking about ease of doing business. So what is ease of doing business? Ultimate things, the interventions by the government officials or government, you are going to minimize it. And government is doing the faceless tax structure. Who is processing your file, you don't know. Because you are staying in the Bengal, maybe your file is processed in the Bangalore. So government is trying to bring this type of things. And I'm not saying each and every government is doing that. They are modifying their rules and regulation so that the more investors, Not only the foreign, even domestic investors to come and they invest in the country. So, but you can't say without cooperation of the central government. Central government has to give permission first. Then you compete each other to attract more foreign capital in your states. If you are proving it, okay, this is why, just you think about it, okay, and go and just study this. Why southern states are getting more? If most of the FDI, most of the Indian companies, forget about the southern FDI, Indian companies, they prefer today to go and set up the plant in the southern states, because these states are really giving more help, creating more environment from all the ways. They're supporting the investors, industrialists. They prefer to go and set up this plant. And what is happening? Just you compare it, the implications. Okay, these states growing very faster. They're getting investment, they are producing more, they're creating more job opportunities. Today, what is the condition of our state? The people are migrating from my state to the southern state, they're going for the job. And just think about the 3-4 decades before, 4-5 decades before, if you go in 40s, 50s, 60s, you take the example, even 70s, you take the example. The people were migrating from the all other states to the West Bengal, because due to the industries, due to the more job opportunities, okay, your jute industries was there, paper industries were functioning. But today you just see the conditions. New industries we are not bringing, existing industries we are not able to develop. Okay, so you understand these things. So it's not the state without taking the cooperation with the central government. The state is doing that, competing each other, and they're modifying it, and they're trying to bring more and more foreign capital. They are attracting it. Okay. Clear, Anil Kumar? Second is, Braja, you are asking, sir, if foreigner invests through share market, then is it automatic route or government? See, again, I am telling you. First of all, FDI, the automatic route is what? FPI. FPI means below than 10% of paid up capital. So till for FPI, it is not like this. FPI is the automatic route. Okay, they can come and just invest it. But sometimes even FPI, they are restricting the amount of investment. The total investment in this company may be this, not more than this. So this type of restriction they can put it, but it's not like this. It's only in FDI. Sir, if investors buy equity from primary market, the money goes to the company as investment. But if investors buy from secondary markets, how will it be the investment in that company? Secondary market is buying and selling equities. No, dear. Suppose you purchased, you given the money first. I paid you this money, and now this investment I am claiming it. Only this thing is happening. Just like you are my friend and I'm going to the market. And suppose that time I missed my wallet, and I asked you, can you pay me for these things? You paid 200 rupees, suppose, and later on I paid you 200 rupees. So this goods belongs to me. I am the owner. So this way you are transferring this thing, but the final who is claiming, they are the basically investor. So it is possible, but the money, that much amount of money is already went to the company. The company used it for the investment purpose. You just transferred. You are just secondary market, just transferring the ownership. You sold to someone, now they are claiming directly to the company. Okay, I am owner, so this investment belongs to me, and I am claiming it. So that's the way it works. Clear, dear? Now please write these new definitions. You write. Give the heading. Government amended. The government amended FDI policy, right? Government amended FDI policy. Okay, FDI policy. Just give the heading and just then you write. The heading you are given, the government amended FDI policy in April 2022. Just give the year, because several occasions the government amending it, but that particular year and month, April 2020, write it. The government of India amended the FDI policy FDI policy for curbing, CURBING, for curbing opportunistic takeovers of Indian companies due to the COVID pandemic. Okay. Now, first point you write before amendment. You just give the heading before amendment, and second you will write after amendment. Then you can compare it. Okay. First write before amendment. Okay. Right. A non-resident before amendment. Just give the heading. Then you write a non-resident entity. A non-resident entity can invest in India, subject to the FDI policy, except in those sectors oblique activities. See, one more thing here. Okay, when you are discussing about this now so many initiatives are taken by so many government. Even our government, West Bengal government, also started taking so many initiatives. And as far as ease of doing business, also under our chief minister, they started she also started this type of campaign, and they started attracting the investors. So there's the government officials now, they have started taking some steps, but it takes time. Because past experience and past things, always it is going to affect current one, but it takes time. Okay, and every government is just competing with each other. Second one things you remember, the government of India prohibited some of the sectors where FDI is not allowed. Prohibited some sectors where government simply saying that FDI is not allowed in these sectors. Okay, so we have to know these sectors. So even under government route or your automatic route, FDI is allowed, but there are some sectors where even FDI is not allowed. Okay, so I will tell you later on what are the sectors, but you write it here. Except in those subject to the FDI policy. I'm again repeating, a non-resident entity can invest in India subject to the FDI policy, except in those sectors oblique activities, which are prohibited. Right. A criteria of criteria don't write. After full stop, write a citizen of Bangladesh, or any entity incorporated in Bangladesh can invest only under the government route. Full stop, right? A citizen of Pakistan or any entity incorporated in Pakistan can invest only under the government route comma, in sectors oblique activities other than, in sectors oblique activities other than defense, space, and atomic energy, and selected, and sectors, right, and sectors oblique activities, and sectors oblique activities prohibited for foreign investments, for foreign investments, it means the sectors which are prohibited for foreign investors, these sectors are also prohibited for Pakistan, but other than that, okay, also investment in defense, space, and your atomic energy, the Pakistan's not allowed to invest. Clear? Now you write amended FDI policy, right? Amended FDI policy, right? A non-resident entity, can invest in India, it is amended part, subject to the FDI policy, except in those sectors oblique activities, which are prohibited, Please write, but an entity of a country, which shares land border with India, or where the beneficial owner of an investment in India is situated in or is a citizen of any such, or is a citizen of any such country, can invest only under the government route. This is the changed what the government of India made it, only under the government route. Full stop here, right? A citizen of Pakistan, or an entity incorporated in Pakistan, or citizen of Pakistan, or an entity incorporated in Pakistan can invest only under the government route, comma, in sectors oblique activities, other than defense, comma, space, comma, atomic energy, and sectors oblique activities, prohibited for foreign investments, Check, dear. So this part we have discussed with you. Any doubt? Fine. No questions. Good. Check till here. If it is there, then next you write prohibited sectors. Just like sectors, prohibited sectors for FDI. Just give the heading. Prohibited sector for FDI. Prohibited sectors for FDI means in these sectors government not allowed the FDI in this sector. First you write lottery business including lottery business including government oblique private lottery, government oblique private lottery, comma online lotteries, etc. Online lotteries, etc. Okay. Now next point you write gambling and betting, bet karna, BE, gambling and betting, including casinos, etc. Including casinos, etc. Okay, written gambling and betting, including casinos, etc. Third one you write cheat funds. Next we write needy funds. Cheat funds means just like in mutual funds, what is happening is so many investors, they are pulling their money, and it's governed under the rules and regulation, and you can just, there's a transparent way of the investing, so they are subject to this. But cheat funds, few individuals are creating the funds and they are investing in the very risky affairs, and there is lack of transparency, so it's not allowed in cheat funds. Needy funds is similar type fund, but which is very famous in the southern states. Needy fund, same way of working. Okay, needy funds not allowed. Next you write manufacturing of cigars, comma cigarettes, comma tobacco, and tobacco substitutes. You can say that, no sir, I am using the foreign brand, but foreign brands, these are the basically names are there. Names are the looks like the foreigner one, but generally manufactured by the Indian companies. And really the foreign companies they produce, basically these are the imported items. Yeah, it's produced in other countries, you can import it and you can sell it, that is allowed, but set up the plant and producing it till the government is taking precaution. Maybe in future they can allow it. But next you write activities oblique sectors not open to private sector investments. Activities oblique sectors not open to private sector investments, like atomic energy, and railway operations. Okay, so remember dear, if you're talking about railway operations, so railway operation till now is not privatized. So what you're getting from this point, for FDI, first of all you have to go for privatizations. And once you allow privatization or you just implemented privatizations of the particular sector, Then private parties you can allow it as a foreign investor. So first of all, you have to allow the privatization, then only you can go. Like when government wanted to, go for the, FDI in the Air India, ki foreigners may also purchase it. So first they privatized. Initially, the domestic investors, the government was getting the problems initially. So they also allowed the FDI, but finally Tata purchased it, and now it is with the Tata Air India. So you can do that. But for FDI, first of all, you have to privatize, then you have to go for the FDI. You can allow FDI in that particular sector. Clear, dear? Prohibited sector is over. Okay. Now. I think no, just FDI, just there's some small points you can write this, because in this time period we can do that. Then other part we will start you after the break. One is the issues related to FDI in India. So it is a commission has also asked, okay, when we are going abroad or foreign entities are coming in India, they are signing more MOU, memorandum of understanding. We are getting more. They are signing ki this much investment I will do, my country will do this much of investment, like this MOU. But actual investments, actual FDI, we are getting far less than MOU signed. So you are signing more FDI, okay, but actual receipt part of the FDI is relatively much low, okay. And the question was framed on this. So that is one of the reasons I'm telling you, dear, okay, when you start knowing your economy, and if you know what are the issues prevailing in each and every dimensions on sectors, and how you can solve this issue, what are the steps taken by the government. If you just complete these dimensions in the sector wise and the overall country, I'm not expecting that you are going to miss any questions, the PT, the mains. Okay. So like this. So yes, why we are signing more FDI, MOU signed for FDI is much more than what is the actual FDI we receives. So definitely, if any country who wants to come in India and then want to invest in India, they will look each and every dimensions in this country. Okay, what you're expecting, suppose you consider yourself as an investor when you're going for investment in a particular country, what you're going to expect? The same thing, they will behave like this. They will just think about that. Like first point you can write, lack of business environment. Yeah, the issue related to that, first you can write, yes, lack of business environment. Lack of business environment. So you written this point. Now you can just say, sir, if I will write this lack of business environment, it's against of the government, this. No. I'm saying you cannot write, you should not write against the government policies. If government implement it, you have to support to some extent. Even you are saying some adverse impact related to that policy, you have to say in the positive way, and it should be in the request form. That may be considered like this. It may be considered, then only policy is going to be more effective. But since government already accepted, it's a documented. How can you get? Yes, in 2014 under Make in India, the one of the pillar of Make in India is what? Ease of doing business. Why government has implemented this policy, ease of doing business? Why it is a part of the government document saying it is one of the objective we have to achieve? Budget, 1st Feb 2020, last budget, not this budget, last budget, 1st Feb 2022. The government has announced, okay, now we are going to implement the ease of doing part 2. Now, ease of doing part 2 is, this scheme has implemented since since current year 22-23. So you understand, if government accepted, then you can write it. Yes, there is a lack of business environment in the country. But at the same time, bracket, you can write, to solve this issue, government has taken initiative, and that initiative is ease of doing business. You can write one line. Bracket, you can write, to solve this issue. But it will take times to solve all the issues. You have initiated, but just write in the bracket, government has initiated to solve this issue, and introduced ease of doing business. Okay, just you write, and introduce so many policies, write like this, introduce so many policies to create, yes, to create ease of doing business environment, to create ease of doing business environment. Clear? Full stop. Write one more line. In budget 2022-23, the government announced ease of doing business part 2. Ease of doing business part 2. Ease of doing business part 2. Clear? Now, second point you write, lack of modern infrastructure. Yes, lack of modern infrastructure. Yeah, it's prevailing in the country. We are lacking the infrastructure, a modern infrastructure. But government has taken initiative. Government is just developing the faster communication, faster movement of goods. You take the and other like the smart city, they started developing it. Like industrial corridor, the government started developing. Industrial corridor is what? Transportation system. They are developing through waterways, they are developing the roadways, they are developing the railways for the movement of goods, heavy goods. Yeah, government is doing that. Government is bringing, constructing the road, connecting with the road. They are making the wider one, the faster movement of the wagon. I mean the passenger trains and the wagons one. I mean the for goods. The government is developing other infrastructure like the improvement technology. Okay, the faster communications, and also they're using the technology, advanced technology for the production and production techniques in manufacturing and services also. Clear? So yes, government is doing that. They're developing this. Next, you can write rigid labor law. Rigid labor law. Rigid labor law. But you can write in the bracket, government amended the labor law. Yeah, government amended the labor law, but only problem is that it will take time for implementations. But government is implementing step by step. But okay, but yes, it was the reason, but government has taken initiative. That is the one of the reason the government has already amended the labor law. Okay, labor code they made it, and now they are step by step they are started moving it. Now next one, right? Existing tax structure. Next point, existing tax structure. Existing tax structure. Okay. See, existing tax structure, when you are saying, it means if you compare with the other countries, our tax rate, our corporate tax rate or profit tax relatively higher. So what the government already taking initiative, but suddenly decreasing the taxes or receipts, it can create the problem for the government. So slowly we are moving, but we have started decreasing the corporate tax, and we are giving incentives for the corporate sector to come and invest in the country. That we are doing that. And last one, you write higher fiscal deficit. higher fiscal deficit. Higher fiscal deficit, and then you write etc. Why higher fiscal deficit? Is the one of the reason? Yes. If your deficit is more, it means maybe you are borrowing more from the market. And if you are borrowing more from the market, I discussed in the class, then crowding out effect, lending rate, other things will be much higher, and it's higher is going to demotivate the investment. Okay. So even the foreign investors, they will take because this is the FDI, not the FPI is coming and this no dear. So if there is going to increase the cost in the country and they are coming for investment, their cost of investment is going to increase. So they will take the precautions. So you have to maintain the fiscal deficit. Clear? Fine, dear? So any other things or any doubts you have, then you can just put it. Yeah, one questions I am getting it. Sir, private sector is open for space, so why we restrictions on atomic energy? If atomic energy open, then electricity generations by using atomic energy will implement. See dear, government till now, atomic energy is a very risky one, you understand it. One side you are getting the long term, you can get the low cost and consistent supply of electricity, but the countries, they are promoting the atomic energy, electricity, the source of atomic energy, they are also restricting the development in their own countries. Risk involved with this sector and this source of energy is really very huge. When something will happen, this will just destroy the whole nations. So before going to this, we have to take all the possible measures, then only we should allow it. Before taking all the measures, before developing all the infrastructure and every possible things which suits this sector, we can't. Yeah, we are not going to do each and every things in the very certain one, because maybe the long run implication is bad. So you have to just take precautions first, fulfill this, then only you think about it. Few questions also there. Okay, do one thing, after break, when we'll restore the class, then I will discuss you all the questions. Okay, so thank you everyone.